Hi everybody, welcome to today's webinar. My name is McKay Allen. I'm the Inbound Marketing Manager at Log My Calls, and we're really excited you've joined us today. As you can see on your screen, we have a great webinar coming up with Lander, one of the largest landing page companies in the world. They do a really good job at making it very simple for you to create your own landing pages, which I think Eric will talk about a little bit later. But I do want to just make a couple of quick introductions, lay a couple of ground rules, and then we'll get started. We've got a really good crowd on the webinar today with more people joining every minute or so. And yeah, it should be a good one. First, we do encourage you to ask questions. Type them into the little questions bar on your GoToWebinar screen there. There should be a little questions area. Just type them in, and we will read those to Eric so he can answer those at the conclusion of the webinar. And if they're super pertinent during the webinar, I may just interrupt them and have them answered during it as well. And just a little bit about Log My Calls, who we are, what we do, so you can know who the heck is hosting this webinar to begin with. We are a call tracking company. Our website is logmycalls.com. So we work with marketers of all shapes and sizes to help them determine which ads, campaigns, keywords, landing pages, etc. are producing phone calls. So we're kind of like Google Analytics for the phone is a good way to think about us. We integrate with a lot of great tools like convert.com and others that you would use to test your landing pages. And we integrate also with Google Analytics and others and CRMs as well. So the idea basically being that to close the loop on your marketing, you need to determine how many phone calls you're getting in addition to all of the online activity. That's becoming increasingly important actually because phone calls are actually going up, not down. And about our webinar series, we started hosting webinars last fall actually, almost a year ago, maybe 11 months ago now. And we started bringing in really great marketing experts and companies who knew a lot about marketing so they could share their knowledge. And it's been a really, really great thing for our clients and for our, the people that we communicate with via email. And it's been a really positive thing. So if you go to logmycalls.com/webinar, you can see all of our upcoming webinars as well as every past webinar, at least for the last 8 months or so, has been recorded. And you can watch all those webinars without any form fill out or anything. So you go to that site, watch webinars all day long, and become a total marketing genius. So everything from PPC to content to social media marketing to improving your trade shows to anything and everything you could possibly want, we have webinars on. And today we're really excited that we have a webinar with Lander. The title of today's webinar is 101 Landing Page Optimization Tips. It's presented by Eric Pfeiffer. He is the account manager at LanderApp. And he is a landing page expert. Lander certainly has a huge sample size with tens of thousands of clients all over the globe. And Eric works directly with a lot of those clients to help them build and improve their landing pages. So he has a lot of good tips for us today. We're excited he's agreed to join us, and we're excited that you're here. Thanks for taking a few minutes. The last thing to say, in addition again to a reminder to ask questions, is please know that the webinar is being recorded as well. And we'll make this recording available to you in the morning. Tomorrow morning early you'll get an email that will have the recording associated with it. We encourage you not just to get that email and delete it or listen to it, but to forward it to people in your company, to share it on social media, and to make sure that everyone can listen to this webinar because it will be awesome. So with that, I want to turn the time over to Eric. And thanks again for doing this, Eric. We appreciate it.
Okay, McKay, sure thing, and appreciate the warm introduction. It's a pleasure to be here with Log My Calls. And as McKay mentioned, my name is Eric Pfeiffer. I'm the account manager for Lander. We do have kind of a long webinar. We're going to try to cover a lot of points in a short amount of time. So without further ado, I'm just going to go ahead and move forward to the next slide, and hopefully it will. There we go. Okay, basically just a quick overview. In this webinar, we're just going to discuss basically the following points. Basically how to optimize images and forms on your landing page, and different common mistakes that kill conversions. There's quite a few of those that we'll be able to go over. How to test your landing pages to increase conversions, best tips for mobile landing pages, and then hopefully towards the end we'll get into a quick full 5-minute Lander overview and then take some of your questions. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started here with the next slide. A landing page, well basically in fact any web page or every web page can basically only cause one of 5 actions. One is click. In other words, to get a visitor to click through from your, a page to another page. Number two would be like a direct buy or purchase, which is, get a visitor to buy. That could also be considered a conversion, depending on the goal of your landing page. Number three, follow up or register, or get a visitor basically, to give you permission for you to follow up by email or phone or registration, usually by leaving their contacts through a form. Four, tell a friend. Get a visitor to tell a friend about something that you're researching or some information that you found out on a particular page. And five, learn something. And especially the more subtle. Basically, get a visitor to learn something, which could even include posting a comment or giving you some sort of feedback about something that you learned or something that you researched. Okay, so the first thing we want to remember with our landing pages is this is really important. It's only one action per landing page, one goal per landing page. And when we say action, what we really mean is call to action. And basically, some of you might ask, what exactly is a call to action? Well, the call to action should be found pretty much throughout your landing page, especially on the call to action button, which would be the colored button or the button on your form. Basically, it's a call to action on your landing page. Basically, it's an action. It's prompting your visitors to take a specified action, whether it involves them signing up for a free newsletter or buying maybe your latest ebook about your services or product. Whatever that action might be, just make sure you tell your visitors on your landing page. It's important that you tell them what to do from your form, from your call to action button. And another thing, don't get into adding more than one call to action per landing page. That's a big no-no. You definitely, if you have more than one call to action, if you have more than one offer, you need to have a specific landing page for each one, because you get into the paradox of choice, and we'll touch on that here a little bit further down the line. So let's go on to the next one here. Once again, one landing page for each campaign. For each specific campaign that you have, you should have a specific landing page. You don't want to have, for specific campaigns, just more than one landing page. And really, the essence of a good landing page is an offer. And I talk to a lot of folks. They're kind of sometimes nervous about coming up with offers, but you shouldn't be. The more offers that you can come up with to promote your business or your product, the more landing pages you'll need, and the merrier. The more landing pages, the more offers. So you just want to have a specific call to action for each of those. And offers usually come in two different elements. Basically, an offer is something of value traded for something of value. It could be time, money, or information, or something relevant and segmented specifically to the audience driven to the page. So basically, it should be it should be to a targeted audience and something of value. You want to if you don't have an offer, basically we say you don't have a landing page. So don't be afraid to come up with offers, and don't be afraid to to create as many landing pages as you can for each of those offers. Okay. And here's a great statistic that I really love, and this really speaks loud and clear, I think. 87% of companies could see a direct impact on their annual revenue from a landing page. I mean, that's 87%. That's approaching 9 out of every 10. So, I mean, if you aren't using landing pages, shouldn't you be? I mean, the power of landing pages is pretty apparent. I mean, the statistics speak for themselves. And once again, landing pages are standalone web pages that are distinct from your main website, and they've been designed for a single focused objective. So once again, the more offers that you come up with, the more landing pages, the better. And you can see the results right here just by looking at this quick statistic that landing pages really, really work. So now we're going to get into one of the first big no-nos, and I talked to a lot of folks, and a lot of folks on the phone, they ask me, well, why should I use my landing page instead of, for example, why don't I just use my home page? I mean, I use my home page already for everything. It's my web, it's my online web presence. Why would I use a landing page, as opposed to a home page? Well, sending visitors, especially paid traffic, especially when you get into paid traffic, you'll see that. Sending visitors to your home page is really, I mean, it's just a recipe for disaster, instead of sending them to a landing page. And there's a lot of reasons for that. One of the main reasons is conversion is about focus. When we mean conversion, we mean whatever the goal is of that landing page, whatever the desired action you want them to take, whether it's to fill out that form, download that white paper, make that purchase. Whatever visitor completes that action for that landing page, they're called a conversion. So conversion is about focus, and just remember this point. Conversion is about slapping blinders, like you imagine a horse, with the blinders on either side, they're going in only one direction. So conversion is about slapping blinders on your visitors and shuffling them toward the bright light that is your call to action. Basically, that call to action button or in that form, whether it be download that free white paper or ebook, whether it's take advantage of that 10% discount, whether it's leave their contacts to take advantage of that free consultation. That's your offer, and you want everything on your landing page working and focusing towards that goal. And the problem is your home page isn't about focus. It has too many distractions. And even if your website promotes just a single product or service, there's always the potential for message overload by trying to use your home page as a landing page. Perhaps you're driving prospects from your email list, or you're encouraging them to visit you for details of a new feature. If they arrive on your home page where there's going to be a whole bunch of information going on at the same time and a whole bunch of different links that is not necessarily relevant to the search that they were doing in the first place to get there, they can get distracted and they're going to end up hitting the back button. So let's take an example. Here's an example of a home page where they're trying to use as a landing page. And if you notice over here on the right-hand side, see where they have an offer? It says super deals, 85% off. There's a ring there. See, they should have a landing page for that. They shouldn't be trying to. I'm assuming they probably have a Google ad, and there's folks clicking on that Google ad. They're probably paying for that traffic that are coming into this home page. And the fact is that statistics will show that they'll get on the home page, and then they'll start clicking on apparel and accessories or other things, or maybe the phone will ring or somebody will knock on the door. They'll get distracted and they'll forget, and then you've just paid to send that visitor to that home page, and you lost a conversion. So that offer on the right-hand side, that needs to be off of the home page. It needs to be on a landing page. So once again, let's see an example. Let's see an example of why you shouldn't use your home page as a landing page. And we've got some good slides here that we'll show you. Okay, let's take, for example, our friends over at Rackspace. Did a Google search the other day, and just thinking of us, we all go on vacations. We take a bunch of pictures and images, and we have a bunch of videos. And let's say that we're interested. Let's say we do a Google search for cloud storage for images and videos, and the Google ad that linked me to this home page said cloud storage and unlimited online file storage, Rackspace Cloud. Remember that. Okay, remember those keywords. So specifically what we're looking for is Google Cloud Storage. Well, unfortunately, it takes me to their home page, and there's several mistakes with that. The first thing, see it highlighted in white at the top? There's a navigation bar. Don't use navigation bars on landing pages if you can get away with it. And you definitely don't want to use your home page because they have the nav bars. This creates a world of sudden distraction for your visitor. Really, they're just looking for information, like, remember, I was just looking for information on cloud storage, and I hit this home page, and all of a sudden there's all these links, and I see, hybrid cloud, managed cloud, different things. So automatically I'm going to have to start searching. So, basically, the moral of the story with this slide is, get rid of your navigation bars. If you're looking for a good conversion rate, navigation bars won't help you to achieve that at all. Most home pages have nav bars, and landing pages generally don't, as a rule. Okay. Okay. So moving on to the next screen. Here's something else that stood out. Remember, I was looking for cloud storage, just space to store my videos and images. And I see this, the first thing that catches my eye, besides the nav bar, is this little red banner tag that says, "We are hiring." And I'm just like, what? I'm not looking for a job. And the thing is, it's red, and it almost looks like a call to action button. And I was tempted to go over there and almost click on it, but it's like, wait a minute, it has nothing to do with what I'm searching for. So once again, I'm being let down by this home page because I have a specific thing that I'm searching and looking for. I clicked on the ad. Rackspace is probably paying for my click to send me to this home page, and they're failing because I don't see anything that's relevant to what I'm looking for. I was looking to hire their service, and this is a huge distraction. And this comes back to relevance. Home pages are never relevant to a specific search normally, especially if it's an offer. If I type in a 10% offer for Nike shoes, don't send me to your Nike shoe product page. Send me to a targeted landing page that has a specific offer offering me 10% off a particular Nike shoe. Okay? So once again, distraction is a big issue here. And on the next slide, we get into some of the imagery here of the home page, and we see this guy, he's on his computer, he looks pretty cool. Seems like a happy guy, a smart guy. But, what's this all about? What does this have to do with my issue? I need, cloud storage for my vacation videos and my vacation pictures. And who is this guy? I mean, is he the owner? Is he a happy customer? I don't see a testimonial, so who is this guy already? And that's what I was asking myself. I mean, it's good to humanize your brand, But beware about using stock photography. You'll hear Brian Massey talk about that. I don't know if he's been here on webinars before, but he gets into this a lot about using stock photography. It's always best to use high-quality digital photography either of your own team or of yourself or of your product or of a demonstration of your product being used. Not just some random stock photography that's just out there. It doesn't make sense. It's not relevant to the search or the message. So be wary of that. If you can come up with your own photography that's targeted, that gels with the message of your offer and your ad, that's what you want to use. And this, in my opinion, it looks nice, but I think it diminishes. I think it distracts it, and it takes away, obviously, from the landing page. So let's go to the next slide. And here we have, a headline. It says you've got code to write. Okay, well, once again, I'm not interested in coding. I'm getting frustrated by now. I don't know about you guys, but I would imagine a lot of the visitors who clicked on that ad, they've landed on the home page. Most of them probably hit the back button by now, but the ones that are still there, they're probably getting frustrated. Like, man, I can't find what I'm looking for, And they have this headline up there, and it's talking about coding for websites. Once again, not relevant to the ad and to my search. The ad specifically said that they would offer me cloud storage for images and videos. I haven't seen anything about that yet. And I've already been on the landing page probably more than a minute. And another thing is when it comes to offers and when it comes to conversion, you've got about 8 or 10 seconds. So this home page has already really blown it, to be honest. And once again, as if the nav bar at the top wasn't enough, now we have another nav bar. So once again, they're trying to use their home page as a landing page. The two are very different animals. It just doesn't work. And it's too much going on. There's too much distraction. There's too much things happening on this home page that are not relevant to the ad that I clicked on in the specific search. I had this problem. I needed cloud storage for my photos and my videos, and they failed to give it to me. I can't find it. I'm not going to waste my time, so I'm going to hit the back button. And the sad part is that the guys over at Rackspace, they're pay-per-click budgets can be expensive, and they're just they're losing money. So, anyways, let's go to the next. Once again, we got this tiny little call to action button. It's green. It's tiny. It says sign up now. Sign up for what? Once again, it's like sign up for what? It's not clear. So, okay, now that we've gone through all those, let's take a look at what a simple, well-thought-out landing page can look like and why. These are the guys over at Google, and here we can see an example of a great landing page. It's very simple. It's got some, some nice imagery in the background. It shows, a little mobile image at the bottom. And look at the headline. It says, "One safe place for all your stuff." Bam! It's like, hallelujah! I have found the Holy Grail. This is what I'm looking for. Upload photos, videos, documents, and other files that are important to you to Google Drive. That's exactly what I was looking for. So their ad brought me to this page. And there's a few links here and stuff. I don't really like that. I still think this should be on a standalone landing page. And the only other thing I would do is the call to action button. It's a little bit small. I like the blue. It looks really nice. And the call to action, go to your drive, it's too small. They probably should make that a little bit bigger. But other than that, kudos to the guys over at Google. It looks pretty good. So moving on, Now let's take a look at some best practices and common mistakes, common to landing page creation, and so let's take a look at that. How to optimize images and forms. The importance of images and forms when it comes to your landing page is huge. You know, images and forms will make or break your conversions, and you know we'll get into different types of images, how to use them, and also forms, whether they should be long forms or short forms. So moving on. You'll see the different, different things we're going to be discussing. Images might destroy your conversion rate. It's true. Use images to make things tangible, to make them look like they're right there in front of you. Use images to engage our emotions, nostalgic responses or emotional responses by seeing certain kinds of imagery of people using our product or associated with our product or service is really good. Using images to direct people's attention to the form or to your call to action. Using images to build your visitors' trust. That's a big one because trust and tension are two things that always work against you with any landing page, and we'll get into that. And make sure you use the right color images, and I'll get into that a little bit as well. So first we come to T-Mobile. They've got a page here. And here it says images might destroy your conversion rate. You might be thinking, what's the deal with this landing page? Well, I mean, it's about T-Mobile. It's about phones, and they have a picture of Catherine Zeta-Jones, which, I mean, she's a beautiful, talented actress, but really, what does she have to do with my need? What does she have to do with the phones? Okay, she's attractive, she looks great. I mean, look, she's holding a phone. Yeah, but you know, another thing is, too, is if you need to be careful about using a picture of a celebrity on your landing page, because putting a picture of a celebrity on your landing page means that then the burden of proof is upon you to say that, hey, they do business with us, we know them. You know, if you had a testimonial, or preferably a testimonial video of Catherine Zeta-Jones using your, your phone, then that would be different. But once again, this really is not good. Make sure every element on your landing page is there for purpose, and that includes the images. Make sure that the images are relevant to the offer. There should be a phone on here, something about a mobile phone or something. I just don't see it with this landing page. I think they could have done better. So. Moving on, we see the folks at Intuit, QuickBooks. And this landing page is great because it shows a basic human need that we all have. It's like we want to see the product that they're considering buying. And the folks that organize software, folks like us, our company included, software is an online program. It's an online entity, and it doesn't maybe necessarily come in a box. So what better way than to show it than to show a picture of a phone and a laptop open with the accounting software right on the screen, right? So you can see that. It's a virtual image of the software package as it would look like on the store shelf if we were going to buy it. So they use this very effectively. And the call to action button there, start now for free. It's yellow, it stands out. They've got a good headline on there. Once again, kudos to the folks over Intuit. And finally, we get to the folks over at Graco. I don't know if Graco's a U.S. company or not. I'm not sure, but anyway, they specialize in products for infants, baby products, strollers, cribs, and what do you call it, car seats. Yeah, I should know that because my son was just born a year ago, and I remember going out with my wife and checking out all this stuff. And anyway, once again, here we see how you can use images to engage powerful emotions to provoke us to buy. And here, Graco's doing a really good job. They show, two images of two happy young mothers, rocking the babies, and the baby's smiling and sleeping, and they're really happy, and voila, there they are using their product. Associating images that provoke strong emotions with the use of your product or service is a powerful thing. Those are good photos. These photos work really well. I really like them, and I think this is a good example. So very well done. And now we see using images to build trust. I mentioned it briefly earlier. Trust and tension are two things that work against you on any landing page. You need to minimize those as much as possible. And one of the ways you can do that using images is, I don't know if any of you are familiar with American marketing icon Chris Brogan, but if you notice on his landing page here, there's his form, there's his headline, and there's his picture. So here we can see that we see that there's a living, breathing human being. I mean, our visitors, when they don't have the benefit of walking into a physical location to see if we're a real company, to see if we're real people. So putting an actual image of yourself, in this case, Chris Brogan, is a powerful way to reassure people. Remember, trust is something that we want to continually reassure, and that's a great way to do that. And he's done that on this landing page here. I think it's driving conversions towards people who are interested in growing their business. And once again, I think Chris does a great job, and I like the photo, the way it looks, and the look of the landing page. So, moving on, using images to direct people's attention. So, can you see what we're getting at here with this landing page? Here it says, look at the big headline, quote and buy online. And the subheadline, simple forms, start quoting, nice and big and green. And here's this gentleman looking very regal, looking very, very personable, pointing, suggesting that, hey, you should fill out this form. You should start quoting. You need to quote and buy online. I don't know if this is a stock photo. Hopefully it's not. Hopefully it's maybe a photo of a farmer's agent or maybe the founder. It would be better if it was. But once again, this image is using the power of suggestion by pointing towards a call to action with his hands. And it draws the eyes. And that's a really good tactic to use with images on your landing pages as well. So. And once again, making sure you use the right color images. And this is the pricing page for our platform, Lander. Many images are designed exclusively to emphasize or accentuate a section of the landing page, especially with pricing pages of online services. Because a lot of online companies sell 3 or 4 different tiers of their products and their subscription service. And that's what we've done here. And that's why the color is divided up on our pricing page the way it is. So just use images wisely. Images can help you increase the effectiveness of your landing page, but use them wisely. You need to think about the ultimate purpose of your landing page, the end game, that final goal, and then analyze the purpose each image on each landing page is going to play towards driving those conversions for that specific landing page. And please, 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 once again, don't use boring stock images. Use images from your own company or images of your product or service, or preferably of your product or service being used. So, now, 5 ways to optimize your conversion forms. Form length. What's in it for me? Minimize the risk. Put some style in your forms and use standard language. Your conversion form is where the action happens, and it's why you have a landing page in the first place, right? So let's take a quick look at how we can optimize conversion forms and drive higher conversion rates. So, form length, long form versus short form. This is an important question. Here we've got a picture of 2 different forms. One on the right's a longer form, the one on the left a shorter form. As I mentioned earlier, you get into the issue of trust. You got to remember your online visitors are naturally going to be somewhat suspicious. They don't know us, they haven't done business with us before. So remember, there's kind of a trade-off with short forms and long forms. Basically, the more information you ask for, a lot of times the more nervous they're going to get, and the less likely they are going to be to fill out your form. So my suggestion here is in the beginning stages, especially since some of you might be new to landing pages, maybe marketers that have more experience can get away with longer forms. But in the beginning stages, just ask for their name and an email address and at most a telephone number, but don't make the telephone number a required field. On Lander, you have the ability to make any field on a form required or not required. I will leave the telephone optional, kind of reduce the tension there a little bit, and maybe you'll get some folks to leave you the number. So once again, long form, short form. Short form, the trade-off is this. If you're trying to attract more qualified prospects, then it's okay to ask them for more information on your forms. It's okay to have more fields, okay? The more detail you'll get from your visitors, the more qualified those prospects will be, but the less conversions you may have, which is still okay, though, if they're highly qualified leads and they convert into ROI, or return on investment, in other words, sales. So the length of the form depends on your landing page goals. Go shorter if you want to go for volume of contacts, and go longer if you want a higher quality yet smaller list of qualified leads. So basically with your forms and a landing page, the challenge is always in finding the right balance for that particular landing page and goal. And another point I want to throw out is each form field can reduce your conversion rates by upwards of 5 to 10% in some cases. So this is a really important thing. You need to, really consider what you're asking on your forms and whether, hey, is this important in this process of my sales process? Do I need to ask this on my form right now? Or can I ask this after I get the contact, and maybe ask them through an email or a phone call later? So Just bear that in mind. And here's another thing that every visitor is asking on our landing page. What's in it for me? This is what all of us want to know, right? And here you'll see the landing page that we have set up, which is promoting our free landing page ebook. Once again, it's yeah, promos. Yeah, once again, it's, you know, you can see it's a great landing page. You know, it's got a picture of the book. The forum's only got 3 or 4 fields. You know, the headline is nice and big. Learn the best tips on landing page optimization for free. You know, just your form should communicate to your visitors basically exactly what they're going to get by filling out your form. You may have already told them in the headline, which we have here in this case, and in the body copy of the landing page, but you'll need to tell them again in the form itself. Okay? For example, if let's say you're promoting a newsletter, what will your visitors get when they just subscribe to your newsletter? Or is it to offer them a free report or an ebook? For example, if you're going to promote a newsletter, don't use the word newsletter. It's a little bit boring. Use words like, for example, this is a good call to action. Sign up to get useful tips in your inbox. Or, for example, this call to action, get daily specials delivered directly to your inbox. Okay, so it's a little bit more enticing, you know. Be creative and make your call to actions irresistible and tell them exactly what they're going to get on your forms, okay? And another thing is minimize the risk for all your visitors. Okay, this is my favorite, even though it's the home page for the guys at Square. Fortunately, it's a home page. It should be a landing page. If this were a standalone landing page, these guys rock. I love this. There's a lot of things I like about this landing page. But anyway, getting back to the point, your online visitors are always a little nervous, like we just mentioned. And reducing the length of the form is a good start, but it might not be enough. You need to actively reassure your visitors the whole time they're visiting your landing page. You need to explain to them exactly what you're going to do with their email address. Tell them you're not going to spam them, and maybe even share a privacy policy with them, which I think they have on this landing page here. I'm not sure. It's good to either have a link to a privacy policy or just maybe a little caption under your form saying that you promise not to share, you know, their emails with third parties. So, you know, once again, if you plan to email them daily, tell them. Don't let ambiguity in your landing pages hurt you in the long run. And another thing is trust logos. You see here at the very bottom, they've got Visa, MasterCard, Discover, different things. They've got this great imagery, once again, talking about images of the card, showing the product being used, you know, showing you the way it works. And using trust symbols of companies that they partner with. These are powerful motivators, and they're above the fold here, and once again, this minimizes the risk for your visitors and puts them at ease on your landing page. They're going to be more apt to fill out your form. Okay? And finally, put some style in your form. Add a little bit of pizzazz. Okay, this is a weird landing page. It's kind of an interesting form, but you can see they decided to get a little creative with this. They've got this like little Tongaroa, it looks like a little Tahitian, kind of looks like the Easter Island thing going on there. It's kind of South Pacific looking. Anyway, they decided to get a little quirky and get a little creative with their form here. Don't be afraid to sometimes step out of the box and create quirky, modern-looking forms, you know, if you want to improve conversions. And once again, finally, use standard language. Speak the vocabulary of your visitors. This is really important. If your visitors are coming to your landing pages confused, then they're going to be confused. They're not going to understand your offer. They're not going to continue to read down the landing page, and they're going to hit the back button. And a great way to confuse your visitors is to use non-standard language anywhere on your landing page, not just the form fields, even though I know we're specifically talking about forms here. We recommend that you use vernacular that your visitors are used to. Research has shown that most people read at about an 8th or 9th grade level. So basically what that means is, you know, just use standard web language. Don't use any type of spammy sounding jargon or marketing speak or any type of cliche terms that maybe sound really smart and really, you know, really great. Just speak to people directly like you would in the everyday vernacular. Because if not, you know, your visitors are just going to bail like nobody's business, and they're not going to fill out your forms. Now we get into mobile. Okay, mobile is a new growing trend. Today, a lot of people are, you know, using those iPhones and tablets, doing searches, and they're probably, if not using mobile devices more than they are actual desktops and computers. And actually, this is a growing trend. Mobile is going to continue to grow and grow and grow and grow. I wish I had some actual stats here in front of me. I read some the other day, but it's really getting ready to explode. And your visitors expect you to respond in kind. They expect you to respond accordingly. Mobile users also that are also more likely to make purchases from landing page or websites designed especially for their devices. So basically, just don't try to make round pegs fit into square holes. It's a good old saying, isn't it? And don't use mobile pages. And any landing page platform that doesn't offer you mobile versions of your landing pages is not worth your time and money. And Lander does offer that, and we'll get into that here in a little bit towards the end, and I'll show you how it'll work with Lander. But anyway, the first rule with mobile landing pages: make it snappy. What do we mean? Mobile users expect mobile sites to load at least as quickly as designs for regular desktops. If any of your visitors have to wait too long for your mobile pages to load, I mean, nothing is more frustrating than trying to wait on those landing pages to load. It's frustrating, and they're more likely to just going to bail and go to one of your competitors' landing pages or website. So compress any images that you use in any of your mobile versions. It's really important, so that they load faster. And make sure you prioritize any of the features and any of the content that you're going to use on your mobile pages. You don't need a lot of content. You only need at most probably one image for your mobile page. Make them simple, because remember, we've got tiny screens that we're working with here. And that brings us to our next point, focusing on visibility. You need to ensure that there's a lot of high contrast in your mobile pages, text, and background. Very important, because remember, these are small screens we're dealing with here. Use color and size to indicate the priority of your links and buttons. Folks scan anyway when they read online. They don't really read, they actually scan. So you need to use probably as little content as you can with your mobile landing pages. Make the headline big, and also I would make the call to action button and call to action on my forms on my mobile landing pages really big as well. Just basically make it easier for people to see the stuff and understand your offer, and then take advantage of it, and leave you their contacts. And here it says here, make conversions easy. Scroll menus, check boxes, lists. These are all great ways to simplify data entry for any of your mobile users visiting your mobile landing pages. And by the way, you're seeing here these are the editors for the Lander's mobile version, and the way it would actually look on your phone without any type of customization. I'll show you that later. But minimize the length of your mobile forms and the number of steps needed to complete any transactions. Yeah, basically keep the mobile forms as short as possible. Basically, just once again, simple, simple, simple. And finally, analyzing and testing. Use analytics like Google Analytics. This is a conversion chart that you would see typically on a Lander dashboard. And you can see there that it'll tell you how many conversions, visitors, the times and date. It's a very simple graph. And use Google Analytics. Google Analytics will help you to understand how your users, in particular in this case your mobile users, are journeying through your mobile page and how they're engaging with it. And once again, Lander offers you that. And then test. Always be testing. If you're not testing your landing pages, they're not getting any better. And that's what we're going to get into next. And we're going to spend a little bit of time on this screen here. What to test in your landing page. Let's talk about A/B testing. Maybe some of you heard of the term A/B testing, and some of you haven't. Let's go through each of these and find out what we should be testing. Headline and value proposition. If you don't have a headline, you don't have a landing page. And if your landing page headline doesn't transmit that value proposition, basically a value proposition of what makes your product or service stand out among your competitors and among the rest. And your headline is actually going to decide whether the rest of your landing page gets read. So it's really what I like to call the doorkeeper to your landing page. And if the headline has at least one of the benefits of your product or service in it, and it's nice and bold, and it's well put together, it's going to provoke people to continue reading further down your landing page. So headlines are important. Call to action. On your landing page, you need to actively tell people what they need to do to take advantage of your offer. This is your call to action. Your call to action could be a big, fat, juicy buy now button, or a sign-up form that says download here, or it could be a simple hyperlink group of words that says click here. You need to continually test these to see which ones work better for your landing page. And as I said before, you can try this on your long forms or your short forms as well. And call to actions are definitely something that you want to test. And different call to actions will work for different offers and situations. And I've seen huge changes in conversion rates with just a simple change to call to action. So next, we'll get into colors. Did a little research on this the other night. Try different combinations of colors. Colors provoke emotions. And I read about something called the psychology of color. Not just with your landing pages, but in particular the color of your call to action buttons. You need to be testing this. For example, a red call to action button invokes passion. It invokes excitement, energy, strength. A green call to action button you'll see a lot with financial related landing pages, maybe landing pages for banks or maybe in landing pages related to environmental awareness and stuff. It's a very calming color, and it's usually associated with money or nature. Orange or yellow is exciting and warm and provokes images of the sun, summer, warmth. So I see a lot of landing pages for a lot of travel agencies. They like to use orange and yellow on their call to action buttons. So as you can see, choose the color of your call to action buttons well and weigh them against your landing page goal. Okay. Finally, images. We already talked about that. There's a lot of different ways you can test your images. Images that can provoke emotion, images directing your eyes towards a form. There's a lot of ways, once again, you can test that. And content. You should try different ways to say what your business offers. I recommend personally that you work out the content for your landing pages before you start designing, not during or after. This is a big mistake. Visualize mentally somewhat the landing page and then rough draft out your headline, your subheadline, your 3 bullet points supporting 2 or 3 of your benefits. Each bullet point can maybe have 2 or 3 sentences of text at most. Usually that's enough, especially with people who don't have experience with landing pages in the beginning. You want to keep them simple. And once again, you need to be testing that. And as it says here, just test, 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 and then test some more. It's the truth. And with Lander, you'll see that you have what's known as A/B testing. It allows you to create variants within the landing page itself, and it creates like a testing platform for different elements. And finally, once you've decided which element you'll test, don't test more than one element at a time. If you're going to test a call to action, don't test a call to action and a headline at the same time. Test one or the other first, and then get the data that shows which one works better, and then move on to the next. So, it's important to test them over a given period of time, say such as a week or 1 month. So I would generally, each time you test an element, I would leave that test running for at least 3 weeks to a month until you can get a good sample size of visits and conversions to really say, hey, this data is really telling me that this headline as opposed to this headline is working the best. So, and once again, we just have a kind of like a layout here of a typical Lander template with video. You see, type your headline here, subheadline, just kind of telling you the way that the material can be laid out. So to finish up, let's just sum up real quick by mentioning again the 5 landing page mistakes that can crush your conversions. Number 1, blowing the headline. Always, but always use a headline. No headline means no landing page. Not using one is automatically going to give you a 0 conversion rate. And I've seen so many folks that say, check out my landing page, and I don't even see a headline. So we've seen over and over how important that is. Number 2, asking for more than one thing. The paradox of choice. The paradox of choice is, if I have too many choices on a landing page or on a website, the choice then is no choice at all. And trust me, it's the truth. Your landing page is only for one offer and only one action. Don't ask your visitors to take more than one action and to do more than one thing on your landing page. So once again, each call to action should have its own landing page. Each offer should have its own landing page. Don't put more than one offer, more than one call to action on one landing page. And number 3, ignoring basic aesthetics. You don't need to be a super awesome web designer or graphic designer to create landing pages, but there are some basic aesthetics that you should follow, and most of them we touched on earlier. Just basically make a great first impression, okay? And number 4, having the call to action below the page fold. The page fold is basically the bottom of the screen where your landing page is, to where you can't see any further down without having to scroll. So always keep your most important elements above the fold. And one of the most important is your call to action in your landing page. Now, if it's a long landing page, what you can do is repeat the call to action below the fold, okay? But you don't want to, if it's, if at all possible, you definitely at least want to have the call to action at least repeated once above the fold, and you definitely want your headline and your form above the fold as well. I wanted to mention that normally. So, and finally, not targeting your landing page. You have a target audience for your offer, for your landing pages, for your product, and for your service. Make sure you target this. Use your landing page for one specific offer only, and make sure you research your target audience. You need to know who are the folks that are buying your particular niche, your product, your service. So, and that takes us to excuses. So basically, I'm asking you guys, what excuse do you guys really have for not using landing pages? Maybe you've heard all of the stories, well, I'll just use my website, or I'll just use my home page. Well, I've showed you why you shouldn't. And now we're going to get into why landing pages are all the rage right now, why there's all these landing page webinars. And it's because they work. So the truth is that we don't have an excuse for not using them. And the benefits of using landing pages far outweigh the excuses. So let's take a look at some. First, lack of IT or design resources. This is a common one, and I hear it a lot of times on the phone. The truth is, landing page design, guys, is not rocket science. We're designing for conversions, and we're not designing to win graphic design awards. So you don't have to be necessarily a super creative person to create landing pages. If you are, that's great, but you don't have to be. It's not a prerequisite. And to be honest, the fact is a lot of professional designers and IT folks, they're very creative, very intelligent people and talented, but sometimes when it comes to designing from a conversion perspective, they'll sometimes fall short. Because there's a difference between designing from a conversion perspective as opposed to a creative perspective. And Brian Massey is a great guy. He gets into that a lot. You too can easily become a landing page expert, okay? The power of landing pages are in simplicity. Okay, number 2, lack of time. I can create a basic landing page using our Lander tool in pretty much 30 minutes or less. With a bit of practice, you can too. And you can see how creating landing pages will be very time effective. And creating them yourself puts the time frame on your own schedule as opposed to the time schedule of, let's say, a professional designer or a web design company who often break deadlines. They never get stuff done on time. And you end up spending more money and more money. You can design landing pages yourself. Trust me, it's easy. And finally, lack of knowledge. Well, they say knowledge is power. Well, that's true. But once again, you don't have to be a marketing or graphic design expert to know it all. The amount of knowledge needed to create landing pages and run successful campaigns, really, guys, it's just filled with a lot of common sense and just basic logic. And once again, I think that's the power of landing pages, is in their simplicity. Okay? So that's pretty much it, and we're moving towards the end of the webinar here. So what I'd like to do at this time is just take a few minutes to take you guys through and just show you Lander's interface real quick. Bear with me here for just a second. I've already got us queued up here. This is my account. Let's go ahead and log in. I need to mention too that at the end, I'm going to give you my email and my phone number. Anyone that calls me or reaches out, by email, if you're interested in using Lander, I'll be more than happy to give you a special log my calls promo discount code for 25% off any Lander plan for 3 months. Okay. So here basically this is. I hope you guys can see that. This is Lander's overall view, which is the main control panel for your entire account. If you want a landing page here, you just name it. Just for time's sake, I'm going to go through this here really quick. Just type in some keywords there. And here you'll see some of the templates here, all in different categories, webinars and events, bios and portfolios. Let's just select one here, just select it, click Create. And I'll show you guys really quick what the editor looks like. Can I collapse that right there? Okay. You got your basic toolbar here. Everything with Lander is pretty much drag and drop. A little play on words there. And you can erase and move things around as you have need. any of these elements here you can drag and drop into the editor itself. However, I want to take you real quick. Oops, leave this landing page. I want to take you real quick into the dashboard because I want to go over some of the main features really quick. This is your testing platform here where you can, for example, create variants just by clicking this button. And you have a confirmation page with Lander, basically, which allows you to create a thank you page for anyone who fills out your form. A thank you page comes up, and then on your thank you page, you can link them to your website. It's already saved. You've got their contacts. They've already filled out your form. And for you folks that love mobile, here's your mobile version of each landing page. Activate it, and then customize it however you want. Have several different integrations with us. You have Google Analytics, a new integration with Zapier, which is an app that kind of creates a bridge between Lander and other third-party apps for different marketing purposes. Our own product Doppler up here, which is basically our version of very similar to MailChimp and some of the others, which allows you to send out targeted emails. Any of those you can integrate with Lander and have any of your data from your forms automatically uploaded and integrated into those tools. And finally, over here on the left, you've got a welcome email. So, yeah. Okay, let's get back to our slides here. Once again, yeah, there we go here. Right here. Get back to our slides.
We do have a few questions
go ahead.
too, Eric, if you guys like.
Okay, sure.
Okay, so let's see here. We got a good question from Bridget. She says, do you think a short video, maybe 30 seconds or less, on the actual landing page is a distraction, or does that sort of thing actually help with conversions in your experience?
No, actually, videos are great. And the fact that she mentions 30 seconds or less, I'm not sure, is it like a product video or a service video?
I'm not sure. She doesn't say. Just a short video, I guess.
Yeah, as a general rule, videos, I mean, I've seen statistics that show, and I've even heard from our users about, videos getting huge lifts in conversion rates, especially if it's a video showing, maybe if it's from a teaching perspective, it's like maybe an online course or something like that, or a free ebook. You can give a short video talking about certain benefits of that course, or preferably Bridget herself speaking, or if Bridget has a product. If it's a 30-second video showing the product being used, showing people, or maybe a video of people that have purchased her product or service, and a brief testimonial, those all work really great. So yes, you're definitely on the right track, Bridget, with videos. Videos work really great. That should have probably been mentioned somewhere in the webinar, but yes, definitely use videos. As a general rule, try to keep them under a minute. Try to keep them under a minute. Don't make them too long unless it's absolutely necessary, but yeah, definitely use videos. They are great conversion boosters. So,
cool, good stuff. Couple other questions. Let's see here. Yeah, any sort of general rules and differences between B2B landing pages and B2C landing pages, or do the same rules just sort of apply?
Yeah, I mean, with regards to the rules that we went over today in this webinar are pretty much across the board. There could be some subtle differences. Once again, it depends on your campaign and your type of business specifically. Have to kind of look at each one in the context of the type of business that it is. But generally, these are best practices and rules across the board for landing pages. Really, whether it's B2B or B2C. It's the same thing. The same decisions that are going to be made. Headlines and making the offer and the message. Making all the content on the landing page relevant to whatever ad it is that they might click on, or whatever need or search or whatever it is that they're doing. It's pretty much the same across the board. I mean, these are really the core foundational basics, really, that we went over with this webinar. So everything pretty much applies, without getting into specifics.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And then we got a couple of questions about writing very basic copy.
Okay.
And I'm trying to see here the salient point. Jan asked a good question. She says, what's the best way to sort of get the copy down to a 7th or 8th grade level to make sure that it's simple for everyone to understand? And I'll take a stab at this one if it's okay with you, Eric, first.
Sure.
Basically, the idea, I think sometimes that we get so engrossed in our product or our service, whatever it is we're selling, that we start to use language that only we would understand. So I'll give you an example. With Log My Calls, there's a lot of telephony-type names of some of our features because it is a telephony-type product. And we have to be careful that we don't use those types of phrases on our landing pages and on our in our copy on our site, because most people don't understand those. So I think the key is, honestly, one thing we've done even is have people outside of your company, spouses of people who work at the company that have really no clue in terms of details as to exactly how it works. Have people read your landing page copy.
Yeah, that's a good tip.
And see, can they understand this? Like, do they understand what I'm even saying? Anyway, just a suggestion. Eric, anything to add?
Yeah, what he just mentioned is really great. We actually had a guest at a webinar, I believe it was about a month ago, named Phil Sharp, and he has a company called Usability Testing. And what you mentioned is actually what they do, except the only difference is they, for example, like let's say what's her name, Jan? I think it was her name, Jan. What she could do is put that copy in front of someone and just have them go over to that copy and see if they can understand the offer and know what it's about basically in 8 to 10 seconds or less. And you know, if you start using marketing speak and certain terms that maybe not everybody, like McKay just mentioned, is not familiar with your product or your particular industry, you could kind of lose them in that. So basically just speak to them directly and speak to them on a basic, you know, everyday level. Make sure that there's no grammar, no misspellings in your content. That's really big. But yeah, and if you can get that copy in front of other people, maybe who are not in your necessarily your immediate circle, and get their feedback on that copy, that's really great. And once again, Jan, you know, if you're just starting out with landing pages, keep your copy pretty simple. You know, just in the beginning stages until you get better and more adept at landing pages and how they work. You know, just a good solid headline with maybe one benefit of your product or service, a sub-headline, 3 or 4 bullet points, you know, highlighting a benefit of whatever it is, your product or service, and each bullet point maybe 2 or 3 sentences, nothing more than that. And then down the road as you get better, you can start branching out and creating more complex landing pages, maybe landing pages that, you know, go down below a fold, longer landing pages, longer forms. Keep it simple right now in the beginning stages. That's my recommendation. So.
That's great. That's really good. And then one more thought to add, and this is a sort of a follow-up to Jan's question, is with the amount of copy on landing pages themselves, I mean, our experience, and I want you to comment on this too, Eric, our experience is that, you know, sometimes people put too much copy on landing pages. There's big, long paragraphs, and there's, when in reality it probably should be a headline, maybe a subhead, and a few bullet points. Am I off track there, or would you agree?
No, you're right on track. No, I mean, you're right on track. And you know, once again, it depends on the buyer persona that you're targeting too. You can create landing pages for specific, like there's a buyer persona called the methodical buyer, which is a person that needs more reassurance about a product or service. They're going to have a tendency to do more reading. You can create a specific landing page for a specific campaign with a little bit more content, even though you want to keep it down to a bare minimum, because you know, I'm sure you guys have found out, McKay, that you know most people scan; they don't really read. And with these landing pages, yeah, you've got 8 or 10 seconds. So, and there's another thing called congruence. I've seen some folks, they've set up landing pages and they've got big blocks of text over here and over here, and they're using one font for one block of content, another font for another. Yeah, you don't want to do that. You want to make your content flow. There should be a congruence. What we mean is it should flow from the headline down to the bullet points through all the copy. And make it simple, make it easy on the eyes. And I forget who it was. I want to say it was Brian Eisenberg or one of the guys that say, write all your copy and then get rid of about half of it.
That's awesome. Seriously, I like that. That's awesome.
Yeah, so
cool.
It's simple.
Well, Eric, thank you very much. We appreciate it. Everybody, thank you for attending today. As we said, this webinar was recorded, and we'll get it out to you early tomorrow morning. We encourage you to go check out Lander. LanderApp.com is their website, and we also, of course, encourage you to go to logmycalls.com and look at some of our past webinars as well as try the tool out. Start tracking which campaigns, ads, landing pages are generating phone calls and which are not. So, again, thanks for attending, everybody, today. We appreciate it. We've got a really good webinar tomorrow as well with a company called What Runs Where that's going to talk a little bit about spying on your competition, which everybody should do to get a little bit of knowledge about their space. So anyway, thanks for your time, everybody. Encourage you again to go to logmycalls.com and check out the webinar page right in the middle of your screen. So have a wonderful afternoon. Eric, any final thoughts?
Yes, I was just going to ask. Thank you. I just wanted to let everybody know they can see the final screen here. It has my email on it and the toll-free number. Guys, feel free to call me to discuss anything that we went over in the webinar. If you're interested in Lander, if you have questions about Lander, about landing pages, if you want me to give you or even a group of people like a mini webinar sometime in the future, just give me a call or email me, and I'd be more than happy to hear from you. Okay? So and thanks for attending. We appreciate it. And thank you, McKay. I really appreciate you guys inviting me. It definitely was a pleasure being here. So
great. Eric, thanks again, sir. Everybody have a wonderful day, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Okay.